Hello and welcome to Trader Chat. So Royal Ascot has been and gone. We've had a lot going on in the Euros, including England costing me an accumulator on Friday night. Thanks for that, lads. And obviously also we have the golf and plenty to chat about the Star Sports Greyhound Derby with Flynn Goward, who's, I believe your love for Royal Ascot last week was rather diluted by the fact that you had to be on track at 9 o'clock every morning, which is a lot of hanging around.
It was a long week, to be honest with you. And to be fair, I was just speaking to the guys in the office here, and they were saying they felt like it was a really long week as well. But then I did remind them that I was actually the one that was going to the track early doors every day. The pick each morning was at 10 o'clock, and they brought it forward because of the restrictions, and there was going to be loads of other bits going on. And they changed the way that we actually stand now for the week just gone. They kind of changed the areas around. So we had to be there for 10 every morning, and then we were kind of waiting for about 5 hours until the first race. But it was a good week. It was a long week, and it was a wet week towards the end as well. I'm telling you, that day on Friday was absolutely horrific. I cannot believe they actually went ahead. I think it touched 3 on. It was about 136, 135 on the machine to actually be off. So I was very surprised it was on. It was a good start to the week for us, but towards the end of the week, it swung the other way towards the punters. So I guess the way to do it is just spin through each day, and I'll just go through kind of the kind of notable bets and notable results, Johnny.
Yeah, I had to laugh on the Saturday that Broome's defeat, probably he was doing you a bit of a favour, but his full brother, not so much, who obviously Star Sports laid a whopper of a bet in Point Longsdale, which at times looked like it might come off, but you're sort of half thinking 2 furlongs down, well, he is a brother to Broome, so there's going to be a finishing kick there. And obviously he did win the Chesham, but how was the week all in all?
Yeah, which will come to that dreaded Saturday towards the end. But honestly, Saturday was horrific. But starting with Tuesday, it was probably just about 1-0 to us after the Tuesday, to be honest. Palace Pier got the punts off to an absolute flyer. A lot of business in the office for the favourite, and I actually had a 35 grand cash bet on course at 4 to 11. So cash is obviously still king. We did see the kind of big punts out. But the way that I would describe Royal Ascot the week just gone with the restrictions and the less amount of punters, I was speaking to Ben about it. I was saying it felt like a summer mile day or a Victoria Cup day, but with the big bets as well. So kind of smaller crowd, but with the big bets in there. That's how it kind of felt when you were actually standing on track. So Palace Pier got punts off to an absolute flyer. We also laid an 80 grand double in the office, Palace Pier and Potash. So again, Potash beating it in this Kingstown was a great result. I also laid a 20 grand bet, 13 to 8 on the pitch. So getting him chinned was great for us. Poetic Flare was a shocking result. We laid heavily in the office, was over a £500,000 loser. So really tough stuff with Poetic Flare and probably performance of the week. I also laid a 20 grand at 4 to 1 on the pitch as well. So we were well behind on the pitch after that one. And then it was just the last couple of results that really got us out of jail and meant that we just kind of finished ahead, but only just on the Tuesday. MC Muldoon was a big one. Getting MC Muldoon chin was huge. Probably not the best ride from Ryan Moore. He'd probably admit that he probably wanted to get there a little bit sooner. He was just always getting there a little bit too late. Cape Gentleman in that race as well. Getting him beat was a great result for us. Then getting Saldier beat in the last race in the new 6:10 race. And I laid 20 grand at 5 to 2 on the pitch, and we laid much more in the office. So those last kind of couple of results, the last races really got us out of jail on the Tuesday, meant that we were slightly up, even though Poetic Flare kind of hit us for 6 in the big race. Just to quickly touch on his performance, Johnny, he was just absolutely unbelievable, wasn't he?
Yeah, the race was kind of run to suit. I think Kevin Manning was always in a very favourable position, but I mean, you don't have trainers training a horse like the way he's been trained, running 4 races in such quick succession. I know he did a relative break going into Royal Ascot, but you do wonder, are trainers going to be looking at this? Jim Bolger's nearly 80 years of age, but like he's completely different to John Ox, who would probably, as much as John Ox got 6 Group 1s out of Sea the Stars in succession as a 3-year-old, that wasn't normal for him. The races were spaced out, and Jim Bolger is kind of like have horse will travel, and it was his best performance. So it was kind of like, well, are trainers like too easy on horses at the top level? I don't know, but it was a brilliant performance. And it's interesting as well because he's not a fashionably bred horse. He's by Dawn approach, homebred horse who's from a good family, but not a great family. And he's kind of, again, it's just Jim Bolger throwing convention out the window.
Would this be, I mean, you would know a lot more about this than I would, but would this be a typical way that Jim Bolger would approach his horses, or would he see something in Poetic Flare that would say he's hardy enough and he can take these races, race after race in kind of quick succession? Would it be a Jim Bolger thing, or would it be this horse can race this much thing?
I think it's more of a Jim Bolger thing. Like over the years, I've seen him run a 2-year-old 3 times in the space of a week, which is really unusual. Now it might be we want to get this horse handicapped as quickly as possible. But like that is completely contrary to the manual of how you would train a 2-year-old. You know, you educate them, you softly. Obviously, Finchke Bio is the obvious one because she went for the 3 classics in the space of, I think it was sort of a month, maybe give or take a month, and she was beating a short head and won the 2 others. So he's just happy to do it, and I'm speculating here, but I think as he gets older, he's kind of happy for his horses to run as well. He's like, well, you know, what have I to lose at this stage? And obviously, he's been in the news because he's been given interviews about
controversial statements.
Yeah, which that's for another day. But he's an unbelievable man, and Poetic Flare is an unbelievable racehorse. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on at stud as well, because, you know, this is a massive boost for his sire Dawn Approach, who wasn't really going anywhere as a stallion.
Yeah, and I mean, Poetic Flare was definitely performance of the week. It was one of those when I laid the bet on the pitch and I heard about the money in the office, I just watched it and it was just never ever going to get beat. It was just one of those that you just could not get beat at any stage. So probably performance of the week on Tuesday from Poetic Flare, and like I say, a great training performance from Jim Bolger. Moving on to the second day, and this was all about one horse, and that is Love. A horrific result on track for myself and Lofty. This was one that we probably thought we could get beat in running. She didn't have that real turn of foot that she normally does have, where she puts the race to bed. I don't know whether it was a race fitness thing. In terms of number of bets, was probably the most popular horse of the week with the punters in the office. They say that Love is all you need, and it was not for us here, unfortunately. There was a lumpy bet in the last race on day 2 as well, which was the Windsor Castle on track. I laid a £7,500 Golden Bell 8-1, and then a £7,500 Spring is sprung at 16-1. That was laid cash on the pitch. The gambler of that race was Kaboo, 28-1 overnight, and was betting single figures for Cole Burke, unraced horse. But we recouped some of the Love losses there, but not enough. So it's probably about 1-1 at that stage at the end of Wednesday. Moving on to the Thursday, a bit more to talk about him. Mahafeth in the Hampton Court was all the rage on the quick ground, real top of the ground horse. This was before the rain came. Backed into 11-8 from 6-4. 60,000 a force he was laid in the office amongst kind of other decent sized wagers as well. There was also kind of big money flirting around this in the ring. We didn't actually lay any of it, but there was big money flirting around Mahafeth in the actual betting ring. Was a decent loser for us in course, but could have been a lot worse. The Ribblesdale, this got some good traction on Twitter, which you won't have seen, Johnny, because obviously you're not on the tweet machine anymore. But we actually posted the book and the bets we laid on course for this race in the Ribblesdale. I laid 25 grand Noon Star at 9-4, and then 10 grand on Dubai Fountain at 6-1. They were both laid on the pitch. The price did go through the floor a bit on Dubai Fountain after I laid that, so that wasn't the kind of greatest lay. I think it was maybe 7.4 when I laid it, and it was much shorter very quickly. The 9-4 New Star wasn't too bad. So we were well up the front 2 in this race on the pitch, and I was kind of dreading if one of them was going to go in. But 18-1 shot, Loving Dream getting the job done ensured that we kind of had a good day overall. We also had an 80 grand double in the office New Star and Stradivarius. So getting that beat in the first leg was a fantastic result going into the big race, which was the Gold Cup. And Subjectivist Make and All, which is absolutely fantastic result for us.
So how important was that? Was it in terms of accums, or did you have a lot of weighty singles?
Some accumulators, but it was more the singles in the office. But I also laid at 25,030 on the pitch Stradivarius. So getting him beat there was great for us kind of on course, and we would kind of have to have a good few big bets on course to kind of have that turnaround for the rest of the week then. So we were in really good stead there. But it was more singles because Noon Star in the 80 grand double, that was already beat. So the ones on the Thursday, which they were kind of permanent up, Noon Star was in quite a lot of them. So even though Mahafeth won, Noon Star kind of dropped it for that rather than Stradivarius. But getting him beat, and he never really looked like getting there, did he? I know he didn't get a great passage, and I know Frankie was easy on him in the last kind of furlong or so. But I don't think he was ever going to get there. I just think it was a fantastic ride from the front on Subjectivist. I'm just not sure he was going to get there on Stradivarius. But it was a great result all in all for the Thursday. That'll probably make it 2-1 to us on the week. Friday, complete washout on the track. Like I say, just horrendously wet. I couldn't believe it. I've never seen anything like it, especially in June. Just a couple of races to talk about here. The Coronation Stakes alcohol-free was a great result. Mother Earth was the one they all wanted to be on. Then we had a big treble running up onto Swayzer in the Commonwealth Cup. That's when we had the Stewards, which was when Campanelle got the result from track and symbol. I think it was pretty fair, to be honest. That result.
This shouldn't even be debated. You know, it's just the rules in Britain are so favourable to the first past the post. Sometimes you're not sure, but I mean, this is like an open and shut case.
Yeah, I think that whenever it's more than a neck, I think you're very, very, very rarely going to get it, are you? But because it was such a tight finish and it did carry it the whole way across the track, I mean, it had to be demoted into second. I thought that was the right call from the stewards there. But that meant after Friday, we were probably 3-1 up. It was only marginal. There was no kind of big blows being landed. But when we get to Saturday, there were some big blows being landed, and it wasn't from us, unfortunately. You mentioned as we opened up, Johnny, Point Lonsdale, we had 350,000 at 6-5 in the Cheshire, which was just a horrific way to start the day. If you were watching ITV, you would have seen that because Matt Chapman read it out. But it was just a terrible result in the office, and it was kind of bad for us on course as well because we also laid on course not to those type of levels, obviously, but it was the most popular horse in the race by far. Moving on to the Jersey, Naval Crown was the one they wanted to be with here. We laid a 10 grand each way at 7-1 in the office and plenty on track as well, which kept shortening. It was the only one that we could lay, weirdly. So Creative Force, the other Godolphin runner, did us a favour in that race. Wonderful tonight, was simply wonderful, to be fair. I thought she was absolutely fantastic the way that she struck the front and really went clear there. 20 grand at 5-1 was laid in the office, which meant it was a tough result. I thought Broome was probably going to be the loser, but we didn't lay too heavily in the race. So Wonderful Tonight wasn't a great result there. And then Dream of Dreams in the Diamond Jubilee was just absolutely shocking stuff. This was one of the worst results of the week. 80 grand laid at 9-2 anti-post. So 80k at 9-2 anti-post, and then we laid more in the shop. I think it was 50 grand at 9-2 in the shop. Meant that we came down on the week. So it was very marginal, but it was down. It was 3-2 to us in terms of days, but it was a proper 10-7, 10-8 round the Saturday for the punters, is how I'll probably describe it best. It was good. It was a good week. It was a fun week. It was great to be back on track. But in terms of results and the way we came out, I'd say ever so slightly down in terms of Royal Ascot.
Let's get to the Star Sports Greyhound Derby, actually, now as our next port of call. Whittling through the rounds here. Now we've got last year's winner, Deirdre Sidney's 9-2 with 32 knockabout Sid. And it's all happening here. What's turnover been like, and has there been much kind of razzmatazz about the Derby, with obviously Greyhound racing having come through the pandemic as well?
Yeah, it's great to be back on track. Ben was actually there on Saturday, so Ben kind of made his first on-course appearance since lockdown. He was there with Lofty. Lofty's been there for all the rounds, and on Saturday, Lofty actually didn't come to Ascot. We had someone else at Ascot, and he went to the Greyhound Derby. So that is closest to his heart. Would be the Greyhound Derby. It's been busy on track.
How far is Towcester away from like London or whatever?
It would be around like Milton Keynes way.
Okay.
So not too far away at all, to be fair. If you did want to come to Towcester, it is kind of secluded where it is, but it's a great setting, to be fair. Towcester, it's a lovely place to go to. Obviously, used to be a horse racing track as well, so it's got those type of facilities rather than just standard greyhound facilities. So it is quite a nice place to go to, and obviously do come to the final if you can on the 10th of July and the semis leading up to it. In terms of the dogs that are left in it, like you just say, it's 9-2 the field now with DJ Sydney, who won the race last year. Been coming out of the is a narrow runner, so coming out of trap one, it has been recently. Although a lot of people have been saying that the wide runners have been favoured in recent rounds, so it'll be interesting to see how that kind of pans out. Not the Bowl Sid would be the biggest loser in the book for us, and he's still in there. Was the anti-post favourite around the 14-1 mark. We laid a good few thousand at 14s, then we laid some more on track, I believe. It's now 13-2, not the Bowl Sid, so we'll definitely want that one to be getting beat at some stage. Just speaking to the boys in the office, Aussie Captain is one that's been well bet as well. That's now 20-1, and that's still in there. I'm just trying to see if there's any more in here. All About Ted was also a small loser. So there's still a good few in there that will be losers in the anti-post book. But DJ Sydney, if that gets the job done, we'll be pretty happy with that. Signet Ace at 10-1, we'll be pretty happy with that. And Beach Avenue at 14-1, I'd definitely be pretty happy with that being my anti-post selection for the race.
What price are you on it?
To be fair, I'm only on at 25, but it does seem to be progressing well through the rounds. I mean, I'm actually clueless when it comes to dog racing, but does seem to be progressing, kind of stays on late, traps out slowly, but does stay on late and is a wide runner. So I'll be fairly hopeful it might chase its way into the final, and then you cop the each way money.
Check the website for the latest on the Greyhound Derby. It's 9-2 the field. I had a very interesting chat with your colleague Adam Russell last week, just in relation to the Euros and so forth, and I think we're both reasonably in agreement that France are likely to win it. But England didn't do themselves any favours. I had them as the last leg of an accumulator. It's like watching it, I was just like, oh, why have I done this? Because it was just this horrible sense that they weren't going to win for the second half. Scotland were very good though, but how has business been the Euros? We've had some great games so far.
It's been very, very brisk actually, especially on the match winner markers. I think the way that they stagger the games, and to be honest, even from our personal punting, I've noticed that I've kind of had more bets on football than I ever would normally, just to kind of enjoy, just to add to the enjoyment. In terms of how we sit outright at the moment, like I say, France are the likeliest winners at 7-2, Germany 11-2, 11-2 Italy. I think they've been the fancy ones since they've been playing. They've put on a few good performances. I thought they were flattered with their opening performances, to be honest with you. But since all they've done is shorten that around the 11-2 mark, and they were the anti-post losers for us. So we certainly won't want the Italians to be going and getting it done. Belgium would be 13-2, and then England are out to 15-2. We were second favourites before the tournament, and we're now out to fifth favourites. So that result of the last day, and I guess the kind of the assumption that we're going to go on to play one of the group of death teams in the next round will probably be in that price, you would imagine. So I don't know whether England fans will want England to win the group. And we were speaking about it in the office there, that we probably do want them to win just because you want to win the group and then just be the best team. So we'll have to see how that kind of pans out. We've got all the group winners priced up on site. We've got to qualify from the groups. The top goal scorer market still up there. Ronaldo's now favourite for that at 9-4. He's on 3 goals. Lukaku's in there at 4-1. Immobile is in there at 7-1, then 9-1 bar. We've got loads of marks. I'm just looking up here. We've still got all the top team goal scorers are up to reach the quarterfinal, semi-final, final. Name the finalists. We've pretty much got every single market that you can think of on there. Player of the tournament, Mbappe's favourite there at 11-2. So there's loads kind of going on the side in terms of Euros markets. And I guess we just need to talk about the US Open golf there, Johnny, and then we are done for the week.
So check out the website for the Euro 2020 microsite as well, previews of the games and so on and so forth. But Jon Rahm wins the US Open. Was this a good or a bad result? I kind of tend to zone out of my punting WhatsApp group when they talk about golf much of the time because I'm kind of in bed or whatever. But anyway, Jon Rahm got the job done.
Terrible result. Right. Absolutely horrific stuff. We had a really good bet each way at 10-1. He was the pre-tournament favourite. I'm not sure if you knew, Johnny, but recently he had to pull out of the Memorial when he was leading because he tested positive for COVID.
That is correct.
Yeah, so he's back to Torrey Pines, which is where he's kind of got amazing form. He won his first PGA Tour event there. He just goes amazingly well here. He sung 2 fantastic birdie putts on 17 and then 18 yesterday to get to 6 under, posted the score. Louis Oosthuizen, often the bridesmaid in majors, has done it again. I might be wrong here, but I think he's come second in 6 majors. Just unbelievable stuff. He didn't do a huge amount wrong, to be honest. He finished at 5 under. He also birdied the last, but a terrible result for us. And to be honest, that just tops off a poor week. If you did have a bet and your player missed the cut in the US Open, we did have an offer that if your player missed the cut, you got the win part back as a free bet up to 100 quid. So there was some respite for punters there if their player did miss the cut. But to be honest, if we could just forget about last week and then just move on to kind of things going forward, because it was a really, really tough week. Up until Saturday, it was going well, and then Saturday and Sunday, it just got pretty nasty for us. Even the F1 was a bad result. We laid Verstappen in the Formula One as well, and that was looking tight. I think Hamilton went 7 on him running, and he managed to get chinned as well. So it was just one of those weeks, unfortunately, Johnny. But we move on and we go again.
I'm a firm believer if you have turnover and you're doing things right, things work out in the end. And bookmakers will have bad weeks as long as you're getting the money in, though. Exactly. Thanks a million for your time, Flynn.
Thank you too.
So that was Trader Chat for this week, post Royal Ascot. We'll be back next week.